What's going on, guys? Billy here, and today from CES I want to give you a look at the new Autel drone called Evo. It packs a lot of features into a Mavic-sized body, which this folding drone is obviously looking to compete with. This style of drone, without a doubt, has become very popular after the release of DJI's Mavic, but I like how Autel made it their own instead of directly copying the design like so many other companies. It's always hard to think about where to start when looking at a new drone, and I think this time I'm going to start with the camera, considering it is the Evo's standout feature. So to get some general specs out of the way, it's sporting a 12 megapixel 4K camera, a Sony CMOS 1x2/3 sensor, an f2.8 aperture, a 94-degree field of view, a 3-axis gimbal, and finally, for its standout feature, 4K video recording at 60 frames per second. Shooting at higher frame rates is becoming more and more available as we see these smaller drones gaining the capability, and also newer smartphones like the iPhone X, 8, and 8 Plus. Now, the reason you'd want to shoot in these higher frame rates is so that when you slow down the video that you take, it looks a lot more smooth and natural. I think that moving forward, there's going to be a standard feature that we start to see in smartphones, DSLRs, and even drones. Moving on, I want to discuss the design a bit more. As I said, even though the design is very familiar, Autel has done a lot to make it their own. So of course, in typical Autel fashion, the body is bright orange, which might not be the most pleasing color to look at, but it does make spotting it a lot easier when it's up in the air. The rest of the frame and arms are black, and at the end of each arm is a folding propeller, which is really practical for traveling and packing this small drone in something like a backpack. These propellers are also affixed by a quick release system, so you won't need any tools to take them off. A few miscellaneous but impressive specs for this drone are its flight time of 30 minutes and range of 7 kilometers or 4.3 miles. The range is something that I'm used to coming from flying a Phantom 4 Pro almost daily, but that flight time is just unmatched. The battery that the Evo uses is rated to hold 4,300 milliamp hours, and to put that into perspective, a Mavic battery will hold 3,830 milliamp hours, and the Phantom 4 series battery will hold 5,870 milliamp hours. Something else that they've been pushing at CES is their dynamic tracking feature, which allows you to draw a box over someone or something in an app, and then the drone will track that subject. Now, speaking of the application, I had very limited hands-on time with it, so I figured I would record one of the monitors that they had around the drone cage. The design looks clean and familiar. There's nothing really to drool over or to complain about, but I'll have to wait until I actually use it to give my opinion on it. Now, the drone cage they had at their booth was really impressive. It was probably the biggest one located at the drone section in South Hall, and it gave me a really good idea of how the Evo is going to fly. It looks stable and powerful from what I can see, and I really can't wait to get that thing outside and push it to the limits. Moving away from the drone itself and over to the controller, it too is foldable to make traveling easy. Unfolding the controller, first we have the antennas on top and also a phone holder that doesn't look like it will fit anything but a smartphone. What I'm trying to say is you most likely won't be using a tablet here. Finally, two little handles fold out from the bottom to make holding the controller a lot more comfortable. On the front of the remote is two joysticks, obviously, with a built-in OLED screen that can be used for flight telemetry or even as a way to view the video feed live as you fly the drone. This will definitely come in handy if you accidentally forget your smartphone. Underneath of the screen, going from left to right, is a takeoff and land button, the power button, a pause button, and a return to home button. Flipping the controller around to the backside shows two user customizable buttons that can be defined within the application. Finally, at the bottom, in between the two handles, is a micro USB port for charging and a USB port for connecting your smartphone. The final thing I have to show you is this case that the Evo will ship in. I love when companies do this because not only is it practical for protection during shipping, but it also is a really basic way to keep your drone safe during transportation. I know I personally still use the styrofoam case my Phantom 4 Pro came in. So overall, I think that the Evo is the real deal. The name Autel always stood out to me, but there was never that one feature that made me really want to go and try out their product. But now, shooting in 4K at 60 frames per second has definitely caught my attention. You know, in this drone market, there really isn't much competition, and for Autel to come out with the Evo and kind of challenge DJI and show them that they're right on their heels, I think that it's good for us as the consumer, because with these companies going back and forth, it's only going to give us better drones to fly. One more thing I want to touch on is the people who will say that the Evo is better than the Mavic. First of all, they're probably right. I mean, the Mavic does some good things and the Evo does some good things. You might say that the spec sheet for the Evo is probably better, but you have to realize that the Mavic came out more than a year ago, and it's almost like comparing an iPhone 8 to a Galaxy S7. So again, it's really not all that fair. Right now is a very exciting time for drone cinematography and photography, as we have all these different drones at our fingertips to use, and I just cannot wait to get my hands on the Autel Evo and put it through its paces. But guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, as I've been posting a lot of stuff from CES over there on my story. And as always, I'll talk to you later. Peace.